Mountview is a drama school. It's one of the top 5 drama schools in the UK with a specialism in musical theatre. So we are one of the top schools in the country for musical theatre. I came on board about 5 years ago to try and help Mountview to move into a new home and to develop a new home. And when I arrived, we were planning to move up to Hornsey Town Hall in Crouch End. But after about a year and a half of trying to deliver that project, it was agreed between the council and Mountview that it was going to be much too challenging to deliver. It's a Grade 2 star listed building. So in February 2015 we made contact with Southwark Council and they brought us down to this site and basically brought us down to look at the possibility of putting the school here. Within 6 months we had heads of terms agreed with the Cabinet. By the autumn of that year we had appointed the architect, Carl Turner Architects, and by the following May we'd appointed the contractor Gilbert Ash. By the following September, we'd got planning permission. That meant that by April last year, which was 2017, we were on site. And we opened our building for students in the end of September of this year. So a 17-month build, which I think is no mean feat in building project terms. So it's been a very quick turnaround, 3.5 years basically from beginning to end, from the very first point of contact with the council. When we first talked to Carl Turner Architects, we were fairly clear really what we needed as an organisation. We'd done a lot of work on accommodation needs, adjacency needs, and we had a pretty clear idea of what kind of scale of building we needed. What he was able to bring to the table was a really beautiful design aesthetic and a very clear vision for how the building might work. And he had a phrase that he developed quite early on, which is that this is a warehouse for the performing arts. And on that basis, we kind of worked with him to develop this very beautiful building. We think it's a very beautiful building. It's a very stripped back aesthetic. It's very pure and very truthful to materials. It's predominantly concrete and really we've just kept it very functional as a space, because what we needed as a school was a very robust environment for training. We did not need fancy kind of finishes or little sort of design flourishes, and I think Carl really got that. And I think the exterior of the building really mirrors that same aesthetic, which is that it's very truthful to materials. It's very straightforward, but very beautifully conceived. And I think the kind of combination of the black Danish brick and then the Corten steel, that's obviously been very beautifully designed by Kadish, has been really kind of a great sort of way of bringing all those elements together for us. I think it is an exceptional building. I think it sits very beautifully in the environment, in the landscape. It looks like it should be there. It mirrors beautifully, or sits very beautifully alongside Will Alsop's Sterling Prize-winning library building. It doesn't take away from the beauty and the majesty of that building. And I think once you get inside, you understand how big it is as a building. It's 9,600 square metres. It's a big building, but you wouldn't know that from the outside. And I think that's a real testament actually to Carl's work, to be able to create such a vast sized building, but for it to feel very sort of human scaled. And that's a real privilege to be able to experience from the inside and I think from the outside.
So the building covers an area of around 10,000 square metres, has 20 odd dedicated studios for dance and theatre performances, and also a 200-seat dedicated theatre which will open early next year, around March. The aesthetics is quite a kind of robust kind of general aesthetic. The driving concept of the building was around it being thought of as a warehouse for the arts, and so there's a lot of exposed materials, exposed brickwork, exposed metal meshes on the facade, and then throughout the interior generally quite raw, but with elements of warmth added in, such as plywood, to kind of to sort of play off against the kind of exposed concrete finishes. Meshes and perforated sheets are fantastic materials to use on projects. They offer, depth and textural quality. Meshes are fantastic for filtering light. So, we find that they've got not only application for the exterior of buildings, but also in interiors. Can also be useful architectural devices on facades for sun shading, brise soleil, to reduce the heat gain on buildings, so it can be really useful there. We had a really fruitful relationship, working process with Kadish right from the outset actually, so through from the conceptual design and all of the technical processes, so looking at things like the different options for the punch pattern and also the fold profile of the material. So the earlier in the process that you engage with the suppliers and the manufacturing, the better the quality, the outcome at the end of the day, I think.